So this is the new launch pad
All
they're
right.
using.
Yeah, the launch pad. Here we go. Yuko Takahashi. Off she goes into the water. She has 2 seconds ahead of Katie Zafiris. There is Katie
right on the
straight
feet.
in behind her on the feet. There goes Taylor Spivey behind Rachel Klammer.
And that was a big dive by Taylor Spivey. It's important to get that here, Sophie Caldwell and Cassandra Beaugrand right off her. So there's the 15 and 17 seconds back. Cassandra is gone off the feet of Sophie Caldwell. I'd be straight onto those feet if I was Cassandra. Using Sophie, would be chasing. She only knows one gear, is fast. Sophie Caldwell getting around this first swim buoy and having somebody else take up that chase is nice. You can see Katie Zafiris already on the feet of Yuko Takahashi and Rachel Klammer on the feet of Katie Zafiris already.
Yeah, I think Sophie's going to swim straight onto them 4 feet.
Yeah. The problem you have now for the athletes at the back is, and this is why the Equalizer is such a difficult format, is that 90-second elimination rule. You have to be all in now on this swim because you've put yourself in danger by having already lost 30 or 40 seconds.
Yeah.
That you don't have the luxury of waiting at all anymore, and if you do wait, you're eliminated before you get to that finish line.
Yeah, no way to just measure your way through this one. As in the lead remains Yuko Takahashi ahead of Katie Zafiris, who is right on the feet and conserving energy, and she's going to need it with plenty of quality in the chasing pack, including Rachel Klammer, who has Taylor Spivey right behind. Sophie Caldwell there in 5th position in the blue.
Cassandra
and
Beaugrand
behind Sophie Caldwell, which is a good place to be, is Cassandra Beaugrand, and it already looks like that was a 17-second gap when she went into the water.
Yeah.
A little bit less than that now.
That's
they might just bunch up.
And what these swims tend to happen when you see those mass start swims, we've talked about a lot before, they can be a little bit slower. When you have your own water and you're able to set your own pace, the swims can be quicker because you're not caught up with the athletes behind. The problem is Yuko Takahashi is the engine at the front of this swim, and the question is the pace quick enough? Sophie Caldwell versus Yuko Takahashi. Sophie Caldwell, you put your money on every day of the week. So Sophie is able to close that gap, see where she's going. She's usually at the front of the group, so she can just look up, see the splash, put her head back down, and probably swim quicker than she is when she's actually leading.
All right, Rachel Klammer and Taylor Spivey are now alongside each other. So Spivey doesn't want to wait around on the feet of Rachel Klammer as he's watching Katie Zafiris just enjoy that toe on the back of Yuko Takahashi. But can't say enough about the turnaround in Yuko Takahashi from 3 weeks. She just didn't have a great, or didn't enjoy the conditions possibly.
Like the cold weather at all.
And didn't enjoy Jersey, and then came back and became national champion in the meantime, and then comes here to Malta.
She was very wide around that swim buoy, and Katie Zafiris followed her, and that enabled Taylor Spivey and Rachel Klammer to get straight on the feet there. So Yuko is just so polite in everything she does. She just gave a little bit of space around that swim buoy. Katie Zafiris was on the inside, but the only problem there is you've now laid Taylor Spivey to jump on those feet, and Taylor has the quickest ever swim here in Malta.
She does.
From last year, so she's showing it again. She's moving up on the outside of Katie Zafiris with Rachel Klammer just off the back. I'm keen to see where Sophie Caldwell and Cassandra Beaugrand are, because this group of 4 getting out of the water with a quick transition and isolating Sophie Caldwell and Cassandra Beaugrand will make it a tough chase for them all day.
It will indeed, and the fastest ever swim around Malta was in fact Yuko Takahashi in a 3:07. It just shows you how much harder it is.
That is a massive swim by Sophie Caldwell, who is on the back of those feet, and Cassandra Beaugrand right on her feet.
Yeah, she's hoping to keep hold of her blue jersey for as long as possible, and I think she did it with that swim
Without question. Well, it's 17 seconds on the back of that thing, back of those feet. Cassandra Beaugrand has got that train ride to the front. This transition is going to be everything. Yuko Takahashi always fast in transition. These 2 transitions now under pressure are everything.
Yeah, the jersey points go to those who finish in the top 5 in each of the opening disciplines of a race. So that swim will give Sophie Caldwell 5, unless someone back here has had a stormer of a swim. Out of the water comes Ilaria Zane. Out of the water comes Leonie Perriot. Out of the water comes Beatrice Malozzi. And there is Bianca Sereni as well, ahead of Felicity Sheedy-Ryan and Megan Foley last of all. So we'll see what the gap is in terms of the 90-second rule from first to last, because we might start seeing eliminations in this one.
We'll see it there at 38
there it is,
seconds.
40 seconds odd. And on the front is Katie Zafiris, as we've seen so many times before.
Sophie Caldwell and Cassandra Beaugrand missed that little break, and Katie knows that and has applied serious pressure.
Yeah, I think Katie will want to get away from Cassandra as soon as possible now, knowing that they got back on the swim.
Taylor Spivey struggled a little bit on that climb. She was all in on the swim, close the gap. Rachel Clammer needs to be attentive to that. Assess how everyone's going. On this descent, I think, with Yuko Takahashi on the front, she descends very well. Katie's going to allow her to lead down this descent. And it's up to Sophie Caldwell, who we saw yesterday, to be really, really aggressive on this next lap. I don't think you're going to get a lot of help out of Cassandra. Down this hill.
Down the hill they go. Takahashi, Zafiris, and Clammer behind them. Taylor Spivey in a group of 4. So they came out of the water together.
Transitions count. They were just on the back of the feet, but the gap has opened up with a little bit tardy in transition, both Sophie and Cassandra. That gap opened. Rachel Clammer was in that group, was able to hold it, and now this bigger group, they're more worried about holding the pace and not being eliminated, because the pace up front is hot. And with Katie Zafiris having Cassandra Beaugrand off the back, she'll be inclined to continue to apply pressure to keep that gap from Cassandra Beaugrand, who she does not want to have a running race with.
This group of 5 led by Leonie Perriot, with Angie Olmo, Ilaria Zane, the 2 Italians, and 3 Italians in fact, with Beatrice Malozzi and Summer Rappaport in 11th position. Megan Foley, Elena Danilova, Felicity Sheedy-Ryan, and Bianca Sereni are your bottom-placed athletes. But at the front, all contenders. And if you take out Cassandra Beaugrand, the people we've been talking about all weekend are there at the front of this race. Across the line they go again. You can see the gap back to this group. And that's a group of 7th through 11th, and they're a good 45 seconds back.
Then the third group back here with Megan Foley and Felicity Sheedy-Ryan. The issue that the second group has, when I talk to the second group, the group behind Sophie Caldwell and Cassandra Beaugrand, is Leonie Perriot seems to be doing all the heavy lifting, and you need to share that workload around if you want to make any inroads on those 2 in front. If you leave it against 2 against 1, you're never going to close that gap.
So the gap back to Sophie Caldwell and Cassandra Beaugrand currently stands at 10 seconds from this front gap of 4, this front group of 4. And then a further 30 seconds back to the group led by Leonie Perriot with Angie Olmo, Ilaria Zane, and Beatrice Malozzi. So it's breaking apart and it's being pushed the pace at the front. The 2 Americans, the Dutch woman Clammer and Takahashi of Japan, are pushing along, and they want to stay clear of Cassandra Beaugrand and Sophie Caldwell for as long as possible. So you're right, the transition really counted in this one.
Yeah, Cassandra Beaugrand's only lucky card here is that she has Sophie Caldwell with her, who will chase and chase and chase. It looked like Cassandra was just moving around Soph on that right-hand turn, but no, she didn't end up doing it. Sophie Caldwell just puts her head down and continually chases. She's such a big swim biker that this is literally a tactic she uses every race she actually does. So she will continue to pursue those 4 in front, and Cassandra Beaugrand, if they get across, could be a major benefactor of that, because she hasn't had to do the heavy lifting that maybe Katie Zafiris has, and has some fresher legs.
So that group of 2 right there actually took 2 seconds out of that 10-second gap.
I'm going to say Sophie Caldwell took 2 seconds out of that group of 4, because Cassandra is hanging on there. Whether that's a tactical decision or she just simply can't go around her, but she will benefit if they close this gap. There's no question about that.
Could play into the hands of Cassandra Beaugrand, and she'll be chatting to Sophie Caldwell. And Sophie's probably saying the same thing, like, have a turn. Have a turn on the front.
I don't speak English.
But in that particular situation, maybe not.
Yes.
But there they are, and you can see the gap as they head around the highest part of this course once again. And
it's still close enough. The lucky trump card for Cassandra Beaugrand is her run leg, and at 10 seconds or at 8 seconds, she's still in the hunt to close on those group in front. She has such a big second swim that they're definitely not out of this, and you want to keep Sophie Caldwell as an ally. If in the perfect play, this group would come together and stay together on this next run, but I got a feeling that Katie Zafiris will start to apply big pressure after this upcoming transition.
Well, the statistics say that if it came down to a run, that Katie Zafiris would need 5 to 10 seconds to hold off Cassandra Beaugrand, all other things being equal, but there's a long way to go between now and then. We've got 3 more legs before we get to that point. Obviously, Liv, you spent a lot of time with Sophie. How did she pull up last night? Was she feeling good this morning coming into this one?
Yeah, I think she said she was feeling good. Sophie's tactics are always swim bike, hard as possible, which I think which I think that's what she's doing now. She'll just ride as hard as she can, hoping that the gap will be as small as possible, and hopefully going on to the run she can keep it small. And I think if the gap's still small enough, Soph could potentially swim back on. Yeah, she just needs to keep her head down, keep working.
Probably the two best swimmers in the field in that little group there, in 5th and 6th position. It's now 9 seconds, so that gap holding pretty strong between Taylor Spivey, Katie Zafiris, Rachel Clammer and Yuko Takahashi, back to Colwell and Beau Grant. 9 seconds as it stands.
Well, they've halved it since the time trial, so in the swim and almost all of the bike, they've halved that distance, which is forward progress. But, ultimately fatigue for Sophie Caldwell, who's done 90% of the bike riding on the front of that second group, there is a fatigue element that's going to come into play, and it's going to happen on this run. The run is not her strength without question, and the benefactor, as I keep saying, is Cassandra Beaugrand. She's either struggling to hang on or just prepared not to come around and going to roll the dice on that. And if she's rolling the dice, I expect a big run out of her because she has to run onto the back of the group in front.
Already starting to take the shoes off down the hill is Cassandra Beaugrand, so she's thinking ahead to this run already and what she needs to do. And you can see the gap there as they come down the hill, the pair chasing. 4 up in front. He'll do our quick right, left into transition. The mount line sneaks up on you pretty fast here. There it is. You can see it across the black carpet, and a few people have gone over it across the course of the weekend, but doesn't look like any of these athletes made that error.
Look at Rachel Clammer. We saw it yesterday. Very, very attentive to being first or second into transition and very quick transitions.
2 put the bike in
out.
Backwards.
First out. Second in, first out.
Yeah, and 2.
Yuko Takahashi and Katie Zafiris, the slowest out, third in and last out.
Well, it might even itself out a little bit later on because these 2 put their bike in frontwards, giving them a little chance to get a little gap, and the other 2 put their bike in backwards, which will give them a quicker transition out onto the bike the second time, but it means they have to work a bit harder to get back up onto that group, as do these 2, Sophie Colwell and Cassandra Beaugrand, and we'll see if at what point Beaugrand decides she wants to really dig into her
She's going around
skill.
Sophie now. She never looks like she's under pressure. If, as we said yesterday, she'd be a fantastic poker player, but she needs to work this middle run. There's no sitting back now. She needs to close the gap. She has a short shoot. Does she take it now and close the gap immediately? Or does she hold and save that short shoot? It'd be a big risk to take it early, but it would take a lot of the effort out and what's needed for this next swim bike run, because she'd be directly on the back of that group.
And she'd want to be in front of Katie Zafiris when Zafiris has the short shoot on the last lap, if she indeed holds on to it. So coming across the line there, last was Ilaria Zane. So Felicity Sheedy, Ryan, Megan Foley, Alana Danilova and Bianca Serrani are all in danger of this 90-second rule. Sheedy, Ryan and Foley. Foley's out first. She might make it. It's going to be very, very close, though. Danilova's really putting it in. She gets over the line in a 1:22. Those 3 are all going to make it, and it could be Bianca Serrani who tastes the yellow flag first. Does she? No, she made it. Wow.
She
could not have been closer.
And that's a big lap for her on this run. It's all dependent on the pace up front now to see where that 1:30 exists, but we'll see if she's eliminated. The women up front are moving a lot quicker than her. Taylor Spivey struggling a little bit off that climb.
Yeah. Zafiris has been able to bridge that little mini gap that came out of transition, but Spivey hasn't quite been able to do that yet. So there is the back of our race. Foley, Sheedy, Ryan, Danilova and Serrani. The first run, of course, there's a swim bike run coming after this. This is the first of 2 laps on the opening run of this sprint enduro. Don't forget already.
Let's see if Cassandra takes her chute now.
Yeah, the chute's available. Nope. She doesn't want it.
No, she's not taking it.
What would you do, Liv, in that situation? You'd keep it in your back pocket?
I think if I was Cassandra, I'd keep it in my back pocket. I think she's going to run up to these a bit now, and she's a strong swimmer, so I think she'll back herself to hopefully run up as much as possible and dive into a bit of a slipstream and hopefully close the gap there.
On that run start, though, the gap had gone back out to 15 seconds, so 6 seconds extra put in by this lead group.
They seem to be moving quicker. I know it's very, very difficult to contrast Cassandra Beaugrand's running style against the women in front because she runs so relaxed and so tall. I probably would have taken that short shoot. I guess I wouldn't back myself as much as Cassandra can, but I would probably like to be on this group because I know they're not going to outswim me at that point. I know they're not going to outbike me at that point. I know I'm giving I'm giving Katie Zaferis the advantage of the short shoot coming up onto that last run, but I could at least attempt to drop Katie in that early part of that last run and have a shot at the title. Right now, you're very dependent on what happens now with this 4 against 1 in this next swim and bike if she cannot get across to them.
Here they come, the red jersey, the fastest runner from Jersey, the fastest biker from Jersey, and the fastest in transition from Jersey, followed by Taylor Spivey, so all the colours of the rainbow.
Taylor's having a great race. She came out in Malta last year and had a fantastic race here as well, and she likes this course. She's staying tough. Her run's come along in the last couple of years. To be running at the front with these women is a big step up for her, and she's still in this. Cassandra needs to be a little bit more desperate in her chase, I think.
Yeah, it looked like she went through about 10 seconds down then, so she's closed a bit, but 10 seconds is still a long way.
Yeah, she's taken 5 seconds out of them on that first lap of the run, though, so she's having a little lonely time there ahead of that group of 4, and we've got a really good race on our hands here, so don't go anywhere. Super League Triathlon at its absolute finest. Last chance to see the women pros in action before the Olympics, and it's turning into a great one. Leonie Perriot was 58 seconds down on our leader last time through transition. We'll see how much time they've lost. In fact, made up some time, that group. So Rappaport, Zane and Malozzi, who's tagging on the back of that group. So they know that they're in danger and they need to really dig deep now. The others are playing a bit of cat and mouse perhaps, but they know the yellow flag is going to chase them throughout this one. Up the hill in that classic style, Zafiris goes again. Clamour right behind from Takahashi. And Sheedy Ryan wants to get over that line. Is she going to do it? Yes, she is. Oh, I love the elimination flag. It really forces people to dig in, and Megan Foley and Bianca Sereni are going to be the first two to be knocked out.
Taylor's struggling on that climb, which is a surprise. Last year she was very, very strong on the climb. She seemed to run up it a lot better than she is this year. She struggled on the descent last year, especially on the run. This year they're gapping her every time they get on the climb. She's obviously worked on the descending because she seems to be running back onto them on the downhill.
Yeah, she's just that little beat back, and there is the gap back to Cassandra Beaugrand, who'll get a look.
She takes the short shoot.
She wants to get on the back of this group, so she had the short shoot in Jersey. She didn't need to take it. She was that far in front, and this time she's forced to take it. So Katie Zafiris is the only one out there on the course right now who has that up her sleeve, and she'll be taking it at some point in the final run.
I think
so
that's
don't
a smart
forget
move.
that.
Smart move by Cassandra Beaugrand, because Katie Zafiris won't know that Cassandra's taken unless Tommy's out there or someone's yelling she's taken the short shoot. So it could play on ahead if she sees Cassandra run onto the back of them. She'll definitely swim onto the back of this group.
And that's the key. She doesn't want to have to push herself too hard to get onto the back of this group in the swim. So that's an achievable distance for her to swim onto the back of this group.
And she needs to be with this group on the bike. You saw it with Sophie in that last round. She was able to use Sophie that whole way to stay in contact with this group. Now she can get on. She knows that Katie then has to dislodge her. She does have the short shoot, but at least she's in the firing line to apply the pressure on the run and try and gap her to give herself half a shot, because you're still a long way from home when you take that short shoot.
Well, Taylor Spivey is not going to be in the position she wants to be in. She's going to be with Cassandra Beaugrand, so she's dropped off the back of this group of 3 and coming through transition and into the water for the second time, which we know is the hardest part of any sprint enduro, the second swim. Taylor Spivey is not going to be with the lead group of 3.
I think Cassandra will try and run past Spivey to dive in front of her. It makes a real difference just diving in front of someone, because it's so much more effort to swim around them than it is to run around them.
Off the Super League launch pad goes Taylor Spivey, and then goes to Cassandra Beaugrand, and we'll head down now to Joe Ankier with Chris Perham.
She's lost the goggles.
Joe?
He runs and dives here at the pontoon. Cassandra, she sometimes stutters a little bit, doesn't she?
Yeah, as you can see with that, it's about carrying the momentum off the edge of the ramp. It's quite a high ramp as well, so as you saw with Cassandra when she dived in, because it was quite high, her goggles actually come down, so she had to stop and put those goggles back on, which cost her a little bit of time.
But she has got a good swim compared to some of the girls she's with, so do you expect her to be in a good position when you come out of the water?
Now that she's actually got into the back of that group, I expect her to move up through and get into a good position towards the front as she exits the water, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, the launch pad. Proving to be a little bit too much for Cassandra Beaugrand. The same thing happened to her yesterday. Her goggles came down.
I think she needs tighter goggles, but it didn't seem to disrupt anything yesterday. Yuko Takahashi has led every swim that she's done in this weekend, and she's on the front again. Cassandra Beaugrand on the back of the group, which will make it very, very interesting come this next bike run section. These women here swimming to save themselves from elimination. It's all depending on what happens up front. They're about a minute back. It's a big, important swim.
There on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is Beatrice Malozzi, the junior, wearing the white jersey. But, yeah, there's Sophie Caldwell on her own. Just went out of shot at the top of the screen. Beautiful shot from our drone up there. But there's the group of 5. And already Cassandra Beaugrand has pushed up into 4th position. She's on the feet of Rachel Clammer, who's on the hip of Katie Zafiris. And they're all chasing Yuko Takahashi once again, as we've got another elimination at the back. A pair of eliminations, actually.
Angie Olmo and it's Danilova.
Yeah.
And Felicity Shitty Ryan.
Well, there you go. Yep, 3 eliminations. They were together throughout. So we are down now to, I think, 10 athletes. So Beatrice Malozzi, the last one to come in. She's a minute 16 off the pace. Ilaria Zane, a minute. Leonie Perriot, a minute. Summer Rappaport, a minute. So they are all in danger of joining the rest of the eliminated athletes. And Sophie Caldwell, that's a lonely swim. A lonely swim for her.
Yeah, it's going to be a long triathlon for Soph now. Yeah.
I don't think it'll affect the way Sophie races at all. She'll just put her head down and keep chasing and chasing and chasing. I'm prepared to bet my house the group behind won't close in on her.
One of your houses.
My Maltese house. But she'll continue to chase. I think what's going to happen up front now is going to be very, very interesting. I'm wondering if Katie Zafiris knows Cassandra has taken that short shoot. Cassandra, who we see in most of these second swims, likes to swim out on her own, has opted to sit in on the feet, bring that heart rate down. She worked very hard on that run. She opted to take the short shoot to make that a little bit easier. She's now in the swim. She's put herself in the box seat to sit off Katie Zafiris, so she has to mark now. It's the danger woman for the round win today.
It is believable in Katie Zafiris' mind, I'd imagine, that Cassandra Beaugrand could have run that gap up without using the short shoot.
And that's what I was thinking. I'm wondering if she knows, because you would think, oh wow, and does that play on your head? Oh.
I think right now will be the first time she's realised she's there.
Yeah.
When she's swimming past her.
And she's forced her out too. She said, I've got Yuko Takahashi's feet. You can stay wide, swim your own water. These are my feet, and I'm going to try and beat you out of transition here.
I think someone out on course will tell Katie that Cassandra's taking it.
So Yuko Takahashi out of the water, and followed by Zafiris and Beaugrand, who we've talked about as title contenders and also round win contenders here in Malta.
Yuko Takahashi been on point all day today. She's been first out of the water both times.
She's so
good
quick
transition.
transition.
Good transition.
And critical transition for Spivey and Clammer here.
So it looks like it may just all come down to the run, and if it does, it'll be hard to bet against that woman on screen, 21 years of age, Cassandra Beaugrand, but equally hard to bet against Katie Zafiris, who did it here so easily last year. There is Sophie Caldwell coming out in 6th position, all by herself, into transition and looking up the road there and seeing that everyone has disappeared. So she'll be all by herself on this bike as well, and we'll get the splits back as quickly as we can.
A good transition by Sophie Caldwell.
Soph's used to, in race plans, just going out hard on the bike no matter what anyone else is doing. So I don't think she'll mind too much that she's on her own. She did the last bike, a lot of it she was on the front for. So I think she's just got to do the same as she did on the last one.
A far improved performance from Ilaria Zane out of the water. There's Leonie Perriot, but Zane, 27 years of age, won the European Sprint Cup in August, but was eliminated in semi-final A in Jersey. Didn't make it through to the final, so her first taste of the finals, and she's
Cassandra Beaugrand
staying in the mix.
Dropped?
She has been. Takahashi, Zafiris, Clammer.
There was no pink jersey in that group up front there.
There wasn't. There's Malozzi out of the water. She's our last athlete still out there, and she'll be looking to avoid elimination. She almost looks like she's seen the flag or seen the time. She's just having a smile, but she's going to do the job anyway. She has been fantastic this weekend. Can't say enough about Beatrice Malozzi, who eventually gets eliminated. Perio and Rappaport are at 119 and 110 respectively. Zane at 109. So they're still losing about 10 seconds.
And there's been a problem with Cassandra
Yeah,
Bogran.
There has been.
Cassandra.
There's either been a crash, a puncture, or...
And not only that, but also not there is Taylor Spivey. So I wonder whether those two have come together.
Yeah, because Clammer was out the back with Taylor Spivey after that swim. Cassandra Bogran was actually right with Katie Zaferis as they came down that flat section. Something's happened on the climb.
Yeah. All we've got is, it could be a mechanical at this point. We'll bring it to you as soon as we know. But something's happened to Cassandra Bogran. And those are from the last time through the timing mats. And she's not on our list now, but Taylor Spivey is. She's 7 seconds back on this group. And Cassandra Bogran, there is Spivey in the background. Cassandra Bogran is not there, so we will have a new championship leader at the end of this. And there is Bogran on the left there. So something's happened to the bike. So that is terrible news for Cassandra Bogran.
Now
There is Sophie Colwell.
Rachel Clammer and Yuko Takahashi has suddenly thought, wow, I'm in the punch, I'm in the hunt here. Now I've got to give Katie Zaferis a short shoot, but I think they're always thinking they're in the hunt, but you tend to rise at times from problems happening and they're not you, because there's nothing worse than preparing for an event and the mechanical putting you out of it, and suddenly you're in the hunt to win this thing. The pace comes off. Katie's no longer in a rush.
It looks to me that our podium's probably getting close to being decided. The steps obviously have to be decided, but I'm not sure whether Spivey has it to cross into that group. She did look like she was having trouble on the uphills in the previous run.
On the run, yeah.
But I wouldn't bet against Rachel Clammer from putting the run in.
Having quick transitions, Rachel has. I think she'll be out onto the run first again.
And if she is, I mean, she had to wave goodbye to Katie Zaferis yesterday, because Zaferis' uphill is fantastic, but Clammer's a great runner. And
the thing with using the short shoot for Katie Zaferis now is she can only use it on the first run, because you only go up past that section of the course once now. In the first run, you come back down to come into transition. So Clammer needs a quick transition. She needs to roar out, get up that hill enough to cover that short shoot advantage that Katie will take on the first lap of the run, and then it comes to a shootout. If she doesn't roar out a transition, if she doesn't get the gap, it's all over.
I can confirm that it was a mechanical issue for Cassandra Bogran. She is out of the race, so she will drop all the way down the championship standings, and disappointing for her. There's no doubt about that. But an opportunity for the rest of our field, and leading them is Katie Zaferis. Yuko Takahashi right behind. She has been in the mix all weekend, as has Rachel Clammer, who is carrying an injury as well. And the gap remains at 7 seconds back to Taylor Spivey. Okay, bold prediction time. Olivia Mathias, who's going to win this one?
Katie.
That was not a bold prediction. That was the least bold prediction you could have made.
Yuko. Yuko's going to win.
That's where your heart is, Yuko.
Yeah.
It'd be wonderful for Yuko to win. I think, look, it's all going to come down. Oh, we're going to see it here.
We're going to see the mechanical. There's Bogran. She's looked down and see that she's having an issue. And she dropped a chain there.
She jammed the chain. Or
She
snapped the rear derailleur. She snapped the rear derailleur. You saw that break.
Okay, so she jammed a chain there. We will try and catch up with her a little bit later on once the dust has settled on that one. But at the moment, we're following a fantastic race here with Taylor Spivey still clinging onto the back of this group of three. If anything, she's closed that gap, which was 7 seconds. She knows she needs to be in this run group if she's any chance of taking a podium position. She needs to come out of transition well in touch. But Takahashi leads through once again. Zaferis and Clammer. Zaferis, second in our championship standings. Clammer,
Taylor
third.
Spivey.
And Spivey is really digging
slowly,
in. You're right.
Closing slowly, which was a great last lap from Spivey. Whether the pace has come off because Cassandra's out, now they start to look at each other and start setting up for this next run. It's allowed Spivey to come back into this game.
Yeah, she's definitely going to get on the back now.
Yeah.
And just how hard has she had to work to do that, and what is the pace like at the front? She's taken 7 seconds in a lap out of the front three, but you're right, the ripple would have gone through the group. Cassandra's no longer stalking us from behind. So now we need to, as you say, we're suddenly looking at each other. We're not working together to keep her away. We're now working against each other.
We're all looking at Katie, knowing that she has the short shoot. She's the one at the advantage of the four of us.
So what do you do in this run? If you're Rachel Klammer and Yuko Takahashi, and of course if you're Taylor Spivey as well, what do you do now in this run? Do you try and conserve yourself, know that Katie's going to get that group, or do you try and just punch it on the first lap?
You have to have a big transition. Look, it's all going to come down. The one advantage of this short shoot compared to Jersey is that it's still a long way from home when you take it. You're still about 800 metres from the finish line.
Yep.
So you know when she's going to take it. So the advantage is, unlike other short shoots we've taken, if you haven't taken it by the last round, you know that she's only going to take it on the first lap of the run. So it's about getting that gap now on her that closes that gap with that short shoot. So I guess eliminating that short shoot on the road by getting out of transition fast.
If Katie Zafiris does indeed take the short shoot and go to victory because of that,
and there's Klammer on the front again.
It's done its job, because you have to be quick on Saturday to get the advantage on Sunday, and we saw it deliver a race win to Vincent Lewis.
Klammer has to go now.
Klammer's out, Takahashi's out, and Zafiris is a little way behind.
They have
and again,
to put
the two
boot
Americans are a little bit slower in transition, and now they need to press their advantage, Klammer and Takahashi.
And that's about the short shoot advantage right there. So they need to hold that advantage the whole way up the hill, because Zafiris has to take the short shoot on this first time she goes past it, because they don't go past it again. It's only the first run that we just saw was 2 kilometres. This is 1 mile.
Right, it is a sprint finish. We're at the bottom of the hill. We're going to go up once. We're going to take the short shoot, Katie Zafiris, and then it's an 800-metre downhill and flat to the finish. A minute back is Sophie Caldwell. A little bit more than that now, and she's having a lonely old race. But already Zafiris is starting to push up on Yuko Takahashi, and it's about whether Rachel Klammer, lightest frame out there, can push up this hill. Into transition goes Sophie Caldwell. She's pretty much got 5th position wrapped up, but, you know, stranger things have happened. We've already had one mechanical in this race.
Can't blow a shoe.
This is Super League, mate. Anything can happen.
She's out. Good transition. Good transition from Sophie. She'll be very happy with today's race, I think, considering... Oh, no, it's on.
She's back.
Could just about be all she wrote, do you think?
Yeah.
She's got her on the hill. She's got the short shoot in her pocket. She'd be a brave man to bet against Katie Zafiris now. Yuko Takahashi has lost touch. And just as it was in semi-final B, well, Ilaria Zane, she had the shoes in her hand. She was doing the correct thing. She didn't quite get the bike racked. But Ilaria Zane is the next to fall.
Katie will take this short shoot now. Rachel Klammer knows that. I've been moving past as quickly as I possibly can.
Oh, it's a tough little run up for the rest of it when you see Katie Zafiris disappear.
There's
she takes the short shoot. Klammer puts in what she can to try and stay in touch. She's going to have to fly down this hill, Rachel Klammer, if she's any chance up the hill for the final time. Takahashi could be getting caught.
Oh, she's got a gap now.
That's the gap. Once you take that short shoot, you're committed to the run to the finish. There's no turning back now. You've got the advantage. You're able to take that advantage by taking the shoot. There's no use giving up any distance now. If Rachel Klammer runs onto the back of Katie Zafiris now, it's because Rachel Klammer's moving quicker than Katie Zafiris. It's not because Katie's waiting.
So an update on our Jersey winners before we call the end of this race. Rachel Klammer was the quickest on the bike today. She's already wearing the green jersey, so she extends her lead in the green jersey race. The transition quickest, Yuko Takahashi, she extends her lead. The run quickest was Cassandra Beaugrand. So she will take points out of Katie Zafiris in that one. Zafiris, though, will likely be wearing the pink jersey anyway. And the swim, who was the quickest in the swim?
Sophie.
Sophie, indeed, correct.
Yeah.
So she extends her blue jersey lead, and she looks like she'll have 5th position.
Rachel Klammer's moving very, very well along this flat section off that descent. The gap's still there, but it's still the gap of the short shoot advantage.
I think the gap needs to be the other way around if she's going to have any chance, because we saw how good she was up the hill the first time. She's going to do the same. And she's just got that classic style that doesn't look as though she's hurting, even when she is Katie Zafiris.
2 seconds.
2 seconds it is. Takahashi back in 3rd position. She's had a great weekend, Yuko Takahashi. 14th in Jersey. 3rd as it stands here in Malta. Hasn't had a best year in 2019, Yuko Takahashi. Still has had great results, but you'll get really valuable championship points with only 7 of our top 15 points getters from Jersey here due to various factors. Taylor Spivey in 4th. And there is the gaps. They're going to turn at the roundabout one more time and head up the hill. And it looks like Katie Zafiris is going to be able to hold off Rachel Clammer, who is digging really deep to try and stay in touch.
Yeah, it looks like the gap's still the same from the short shoot.
How many times have we seen this, Chris McCormack? She's just wearing a different colour than last year, but it looks almost exactly the same. Katie Zafiris, crowned now world champion after finishing 5th 5 years ago, 4th 4 years ago, 3rd 3 years ago, 2nd 2 years ago. Wins the world title this year, is the reigning Super League Triathlon champion, and has shown her class once again. A mechanical for Cassandra Beaugrand, and Katie Zafiris has pounced on that and will take the full 15 championship points. You can see how much it means to her. You can see how much effort she's put in. She takes the tape in Super League Triathlon Malta and the maximum championship points. Katie Zafiris is your winner on Mount Malta, ahead of Rachel Clammer, who has been in the reckoning all weekend, overcoming some injuries. You can see how much she's put into it, and Yuko Takahashi takes the final step on the podium.
Set it up with the time trial. Fantastic race by Yuko Takahashi.
Well done to our podium getters, and well done to Taylor Spivey, who has hung in 4th spot. She crosses the line at the top of the mountain, and it is a feat to even get up there once, let alone do it at the speed that these women have done. The 2 Americans embrace, but there's not a lot of energy for that. They've pretty much spilt all of it, and we're about to call Sophie over the line. Would you like to call Sophie over the line, Liv?
Come on, Liv.
Yeah.
All right, get ready. All you've got to do is yell.
Sophie Caldwell. Fantastic race by Sophie.
Yeah, she's had a tough race out there on her own, as has Taylor Spivey at times, having the rubber band stretch and have to pull it back in. But Katie Zafiris, she is truly the consummate Super League athlete, and at the moment, the favourite for the Olympic gold medal. And every time she races, she further presses her claims as the one to watch out for in Tokyo, and then for the rest of the Super League events after that. We'll hand over to Liv Mathias to call Sophie Cole over the line.
Yeah, and she's coming in for 5th place, and she's holding a blue jersey, so she'll be pleased with that.
Very, very pleased indeed. She crosses the line, Sophie Colwell. Takes the blue jersey points. An off-season time for her?
Yeah.
That's always a good feeling, I imagine. Another who had a bit of a lonely race but has hung in there all the way through is Leonie Perriot, who really enjoys her race. You can tell by the smile. It's been a tough day out, but there's a big crowd here and plenty of high fives to be had on the way up the mountain. Makes the last bit just a little bit easier. And she'll take 6th position.
Summer Rappaport. Strong day.
She was on the podium here last time around. But our overall standings, I can update for you now. Katie Zafiris moves into 1st on 29 points. Rachel Clammer on 27 points. Taylor Spivey on 23 points. So there is your top 3. Taylor Spivey moves into the top 3, and of course Cassandra Beaugrand moves out. But the 3 Americans cross in the top 7. We had an American 1, 2, 3 here, if you remember, last year with Kirsten Casper, who unfortunately is injured and can't be with us. Nor can her partner, Matt Sharp. And there is, speaking of partners, Tommy Zafiris, who is doing the photography for us this weekend. Was racing with us last year. But how good was Katie Zafiris? I can't think of enough superlatives to describe her performance. She was just too strong in the end.
Yeah, no, couldn't have doubted her.
Couldn't have doubted. We tried to.
We tried to.
But
UK still came 3rd.
It has an air of inevitability about it. And there she goes across the line, and she really didn't put the cue in the rack either all the way through. She wanted to run it across the line, and she picks up $20,000 US. We'll head down to her with Joe right now.
Well, Katie, you got that pink jersey back and you really earned it this weekend. How elated are you with that performance?
I'm so excited. I mean, I knew this was going to be a really tough race, and Rachel and Yuko and Taylor was all super strong, and Cassandra was really strong, and it's unfortunate with her bike mishap, like things like that happen in Super League, and it stinks. I mean, I'm really happy to get first, but like, yeah.
Bittersweet. Were you aware that she caught you up, and were you aware that her bike broke?
Yeah. I mean, I think she was right on the back of us when I could hear it, and I heard it at first. I was like, oh, she might be able to shift through, and then I heard like really not good sounds, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then when we saw her on the next lap, you kind of know that she's probably not going to be in the race anymore.
And the crowd were cheering you, clapping you up that steep hill to the finish. How much was that helping?
Oh, so helpful, and you can hear the announcers the whole way around the course, and hearing the 1 1 1 1 actually really helped my legs with the tempo going up the hill, and just having so many cheers. I mean, this course is brutal, so to have everyone here supporting really means a lot and really pushes us through those hard moments.
And of course, you have a huge year ahead. You're the world champion. It's the Olympics next year. What happens for you from here?
Off season. I'm very excited. I'll take a little bit of a break, and tomorrow I get to head home and see my family, so I'm really excited.
And so perhaps you can actually enjoy the champagne on the podium.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you so much, Katie. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, off-season begins in the best possible way for Katie Zafiris, and she will take a win into a couple of weeks' break, and she'll do so having run a 35.33, so winning by 11 seconds in the end from Rachel Klammer. Yuko Takahashi a further 11 seconds back. It works well for my OCD brain. Taylor Spivey, Sophie Colwell was a minute 1 back on Spivey, Leonie Perriot and Summer Rappaport. So from our 15 that began in what was essentially 3 laps on the bike followed by a sprint enduro, we lost over half the field.
Yeah, lap of Super 7.
Yeah, the Super 7, exactly. And that it probably makes you happy that you didn't have to be out there. Such was the pace that was on. But we look back, and there's the mechanical from Cassandra Beaugrand once again. Got the chain jammed. As Katie Zafiris said, it looked like she maybe for a second could shift through, but it just seemed to get worse. And that was the end of Cassandra Beaugrand's race.